So yesterday we started talking about how authors sometimes use similes and metaphors in their writing to describe something, but it can be really confusing sometimes for us. So I thought we should look at some metaphors and decide what it really means. So can you read the first one to me? What's the first metaphor?
The mall was a zoo. Means the mall was.
So what does it mean if the author says the mall was a zoo?
Maybe the mall was acting really crazy, like a lot of people were rushing.
Yeah. So if you think about a zoo, it can be really loud and crazy. So if the mall was like a zoo, if it was a zoo, it doesn't mean that there's animals at the mall. It means that
There might be statues of.
there could be statues of animals. But it definitely means that the mall was crazy. So can you write that in? So the mall was a zoo means the mall was
Busy.
Yeah, it was busy. Yesterday we started reading George Speaks. And before we read the blurb together and we came up with a couple questions to help us think about while we're reading. So let's look at the questions we came up with. Can you read them to me?
How is George's family life turned upside down? Does George get in trouble?
Awesome. So yesterday we read 2 chapters. So before we read, let's go back and remember the most important parts from each chapter so we know what's going on in the book. So let's see.
Wait, we're reading all the way to chapter 1.
We don't have to start again, but I just like to, it's really important that readers think about what they read so they can keep adding to the summary in their head. So chapter 1. So you want to take a look at some, there's some small pictures. Do you remember what happened in chapter 1?
Laura said to Gerald the baby,
Well, what's the big idea? What did Laura find
George
out?
Can talk.
Yeah, in chapter 1, Laura finds out George can talk. And Laura right away wants to go tell her parents. But what happens?
But George says, no, you can't.
Yeah, George is like, don't tell. This is our secret. So then all Laura can think about
is George.
Yeah. Is George talking and how smart. Remember, he knew his times tables. He doesn't only know how to talk, he knows his math. But when mom is around, he acts like a 4-week-old baby, right? She has no idea. So chapter 2. Yeah, this is changing. Oh yeah, Laura has the dream about bringing George to school. But it's just a dream. What was the important part from chapter 2? Do you remember?
That dad didn't find out.
Yeah, remember the dad almost found out. He heard them talking in there and he thought Laura was repeating herself. I'm wondering how he didn't realize that the 2 voices were different.
Maybe they're almost same.
Maybe. All right. Do you have any questions or anything that we could think about as we keep reading?
No.
Okay, so as we read, we're going to think about how is George's family's life turned upside down? And that's a metaphor, right? We talked about that yesterday. And does George get in trouble?
Maybe because they didn't tell him. The dad and mom.
So do you think George would get in trouble or do you think Laura would?
Laura.
Oh, so you just made a prediction. You're thinking maybe Laura is going to get in trouble because she's keeping this big secret from her family. All right. You want to start reading?
Nope.
You want me to? Okay. Chapter 3. There weren't all that many chances